everybody, Chad here. Next episode of Law of Attraction Secrets. In this episode, we're going to talk about detaching from the outcome. Okay, detaching from the outcome could mean in several things. Lots of times people talk about detachment from relationships, detachment from what you want, detachment from, and this we're going to talk about. It really circumferences everything, but we're going to relate it to law of attraction, of course. A lot of people talk about detachment from relationships, or you want your ex back and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, let's get rocking and rolling. If you like this video, subscribe. More videos to come, more videos on the channel. But anyway, detachment from the outcome. Now, what's really meant by this? I think this is an excellent topic. Some of these topics are really excellent to kind of talk about, because some of them are not confusing, but I think we confuse what they really mean. Makes sense? Like when people talk about being detached from it, you know, some people, or when I watch YouTube videos on the topic and stuff like that, some people literally kind of explain it more like, you know, you're walking away from it, you don't care, you give up, you know what I mean? And I'm being a little bit more blunt with it. I mean, they might not put it exactly in those words, but that's technically what they mean when you listen to them. But that's not really what detachment from the outcome means. Like if you're detaching from a relationship, or you're detaching from, you know, trying to get your ex back, or you're detaching from anything, it doesn't necessarily mean you're giving up. It doesn't necessarily mean that, okay, you know, you're playing a game. You know, it's a game of, you know, if it's a real relationship, it's not a fucking game, you know, and that's kind of where I'm going to go off on a tangent here and get lost in the thing. When you have all these relationship gurus on YouTube and they talk about detachment, get your ex back, do this one, they're not even in a relationship themselves. So you're taking advice from people that's not even in a relationship. And I was listening to one, I won't mention his name, he's pretty popular, but he's talking about detachment from the outcome, don't put him on a pedestal. Then he gives an example of a past relationship himself when he was like 16 years old. I'm just like, are you fucking serious, dude? Literally, I was like, are you fucking serious? Like, you know, why would you, first off, why would you take advice of somebody in relationships that are not in successful relationships? Why would you take some advice on somebody in relationships that they have somebody new every 3 months, 6 months, or every year they have somebody new? That's not somebody you want to take advice from. As far as in relationships, you know what I mean? Like if I talked about relationships, I've always been a long term. Okay, my longest relationship is 12 years. Yes, it ended, but you know, I've been in a 7-8 year relationship. I've been in a 12-year relationship. After my 12 year, I've been in a 2-year relationship. So, you know, if I start talking about relationships, well, I'm not talking about little fucking hookups. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of these gurus on YouTube mean. A lot of these little hookups, or try to get this one, and you know, it's oh my goodness, I'm going off on a tangent. But anyway, let's get back focused here with detachment from outcome with law of attraction. So detachment from outcome, what it really means, it doesn't mean you give up. Okay, what it really means is you totally believe and have faith that what you want is going to manifest. That's exactly what it means. When you detach from something, you totally believe that it's going to come to you. You totally believe that you're going to get what you want, okay? Then the second part of that, when you detach from something, you detach from what you want, you totally believe you're going to get what you want, but then two, you give up the how, okay? You give up the control of figuring out how it's going to come to you. And that's basically what detachment is. You're giving up the how. You totally believe it's going to come to you, but you give up the how at the same time. Okay, the how really isn't any of your business. Okay, what happens, you know, even for myself, is especially if you have a controlling nature, I think most of us have a little bit controlling natures in there. Some worse than others. But, you know, like I love to overthink and overanalyze, especially in business, okay? But when I bring my overthinking and overanalyzing over to my personal life, over to law of attraction, over the things I want, well, what happens is when you start overthinking and overanalyzing, it kind of creeps into, I'm trying to control the how. I'm trying to control the outcome. I'm trying to control how it's going to come to me. So when you're trying to control the how, what happens is you're trying to force it. Okay, even though it doesn't seem like you're forcing it, but that's kind of how it's being perceived. Like you're trying to force it to happen, rather than like you just totally believe, you totally have faith it's going to come to you. You give up the how, then you just let God and the universe start placing things in place in order for it to come to you. Okay, sounds simple, but it is very hard, because because we basically want what we want, and we kind of jump into we kind of jump into trying to control that how. That's what detachment is. Okay, detachment isn't giving up. It's not just walking away, avoiding it. It's not just walking away and saying, okay, I'm gonna stop doing the law of attraction stuff. This isn't working. When you detach from it, it means you just totally believe it's gonna come to pass. You totally believe it's true. You're in that state of truth. You're in that state of belief. Okay, when you're in that state of belief, you act as if it's already happened. Makes sense? Now let me give you some examples. I'll give you two examples. I give you one that I didn't struggle with, and I give you another one that I struggle with. Okay, because sometimes in life, and we're noticed that when we do this, we're noticed that some things just come easily to us, and some things that we kind of struggle with a little bit, And I'm in Thailand right now. This is my first example. I'm in Thailand right now. So when I came to Thailand, my whole thing was almost from the beginning is, if I like it, I'm gonna stay as long as possible. So when I first got here, I had to do some immigration stuff to extend 30 days to get my whole 90 days. Then I knew I wanted to stay as long as possible. So then I would go to immigration and ask. All of a sudden, I would run into people that we would just start a normal conversation and ask me what I was doing, and they would give me advice on how to stay, and so forth and so forth. But in that mood right there, I was so confident that I'm gonna stay as long as possible in Thailand. And when people ask me, how long you been here, or how long you staying, I always say, I'm gonna stay like a year or two, or as long as I want. And they're able to scratch their head like, how are you doing that? I don't go into the specifics. I don't go into, well, technically, I'm here for 3 months, then I'm gonna do this extension and this extension, then I'm gonna do this over here so I can stay for a year and a half, 2 years. I don't go into all that flipping detail. Okay, I don't go into the what ifs. Okay, when people ask me how long you staying, a year, year and a half, 2 years, or as long as I want, until I want to leave. That's the thing. Okay, and for some reason, I've always did that since I was here. When people ask me how long I'm staying, a year, year and a half, 2 years. I don't go into the specifics. I'm speaking in belief and faith, but I'm speaking from conviction, because I totally believe that I can stay as long as I want. Okay, I totally believe that. I didn't struggle with it. Now, granted, I did some research and stuff like that. I run into people, talk to people, and stuff like that. But in that instance, with law of attraction, that's what I wanted. I just totally believed I could have what I wanted. I just totally believed that I could stay as long as I wanted. And I walk around in faith that I'm staying as long as I want. Okay? And when people ask me, because you run into people, and then people always ask how long you're staying for some reason here, and I tell them, hey, year and a half, 2 years. I don't go into the specifics and little details and everything. I just speak in faith. This is how long I'm staying. Okay? Now that's one scenario. Okay? Now the next scenario is relationship. Now this one I've struggled with a little bit, because I haven't seen my girlfriend for maybe about a month now. So she's been really busy with work, and she's farther away. Well, she's in Thailand. But then, so, I want to see her, and there's other things that we're kind of doing that I won't share with you right yet. But anyway, with that one, since I want to see her, I kind of put that out, that's what I want. I want to see her. I want her to come to me sooner than later. Makes sense? So, but with this one, I've struggled with for some reason. With this one, I've just because in relationships, I think sometimes you're more emotionally involved. You start overthinking or overanalyzing, and you're not so confident. You always are questioning yourself. You always are questioning things, and rather than just the same way with Thailand, rather than what your attention is, okay, I know she's gonna come, okay, I don't know when, okay, I know she's gonna come. I can't control the how, so I give up the how. I give up the force of trying to manipulate her to come, okay? Then I totally believe and have faith she's gonna come, and then from that, it rearranges things to kind of happen, okay, naturally. So then on top of that, I lost my train of thought. Holy shit. What was I saying? So I was talking about, I'm so sorry. I was talking about the first one in Thailand. Okay, now with this one is putting yourself in a state of acting as if. Okay, so if I do my bedtime nightly routine like she's already here, I act as if she's coming. I act as if she's already here. Makes sense? That's the total core belief. Okay, so, and I'm kind of giving both examples because there might be one time that you're just totally there. You're just totally, everything's grooving, and other times that it might be testing you a little bit, if it's like a relationship type of thing. And like when I sit down and get quiet, I don't ask people's opinion, okay? Because I think opinions create more chatter. I already have enough chatter in my brain. I already overthink and overanalyze, so I don't need anybody else's opinion in my brain wandering around. That's one. So you want to keep that chatter down, but I think like in relationships, it kind of really depends. I felt like intuition-wise, it was telling me to be more patient. So some things that you want might be teaching you something, might be teaching you patience a little bit. Makes sense? Might be testing you a little bit. Some things might come easy for you, and some things might be teaching you at the same time. Like, I'm not a patient person, okay? Sometimes I want what I want. So, my intuition is kind of telling me, be patient, be patient, be patient. So you're kind of learning along the way, okay, being patient. Okay, it's also teaching me patience, but it's also teaching me to be persistent and consistent, because, this day of age, we want immediate gratification. We want things now. If we don't have things now, we don't have immediate gratification, then we think, oh, it doesn't work, and we move on. And this is what we do. Move on, move on, move on, move on, move on. Makes sense? So, different things it's going to teach you. Okay, some things will come easy for you, and some things it's going to test you. Sometimes you're going to feel like giving up. And, this is why I've done videos on this about giving up. Sometimes when you feel like giving up, you're right there. You're so close to your outcome. You're so close to what you want. That's why you feel like giving up, is because you're so close to it. You ever heard that people give up right before they achieve what they want? People give up right before they achieve success. I mean, it's really true. We just can't see how close we're there. We can't see how close we are to our goal. Okay. But kind of flipping back to detachment outcome, kind of putting a lot of little nuggets in there. But detaching it's giving up the how, okay? It's giving up the control. It's giving up the overthinking and overanalyzing, and you're letting it be, okay? You're still doing your nightly, daily routine. You're still thinking what you want, but you put yourself in a state of just belief, faith and belief that you already have what you want. That you walk around all day in that state. Makes sense? That's what detachment outcome really means. Okay, you totally believe you're gonna have what you want. Okay, what your ultimate goal is. Okay, and you're giving up the how. That's what it is. So other than that, my friends, I know I kind of rambled on there, lost my train of thought, but anyway, I'll see you in the next video.